Welcome to Smart, Amazing Conversations with Dr. Nancy, a podcast that takes a look at stories of life and leadership for smart, amazing women and men like you.
The way I can give support to the world right now is by showing up. The most important thing is don't think just that you have to bring anything. Bring yourself, show up.
If you are in a position of leadership and a position of management, bring women along with you.
Supporting women is Dr. Nancy's passion and her purpose, and talking with other women and men who promote women's leadership is one of her favorite things to do.
I've yet to meet a woman who did not know what she really wanted. She was just either afraid to ask the questions or she was afraid of what the answers meant.
Their stories connect us and help us understand that the possibilities are endless if we support each other and lift other women up.
Trust is created by persistent identity. I show up in my conversations. I build relationships. I show up as myself time and time and time again. And trust is built. It's one conversation at a time.
In this episode of Smart, Amazing Conversations with Dr. Nancy, we're joined by one of the most influential leaders in modern philanthropy, Sarah Haacke Byrd. As CEO of Women Moving Millions, Haacke Byrd has led the charge in mobilizing nearly $300 million in new funding to advance the lives of women and girls globally. Her bold strategic leadership earned her spots on TIME's 100 Most Influential Philanthropists list and Inside Philanthropy's 50 Most Powerful Women in U.S. Philanthropy. Haacke Byrd has more than 2 decades of experience tackling the toughest issues facing women and girls, from ending the rape kit backlog during her time at the Joyful Heart Foundation to building powerful coalitions that strengthen democracy and expand human rights. She currently serves on the boards of GoFundMe.org, Future Forward Women, and is a founding member of the Hive Gender Climate Justice Fund. A civil society fellow with the Aspen Institute, Haacke Byrd is known for her catalytic vision, her ability to mobilize large-scale change, and her commitment to building a more just, gender-equal world. Now, here's Dr. Nancy and her guest, Sarah Haacke Byrd.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It's delightful to see you again. Haven't seen you since the LA UN Foundation luncheon. That was absolutely amazing. We still haven't connected with Michelle, but we will. We are in that process. We're going to. But anyway, the important thing is, first of all, your personal story.
Yes.
How you got to be the Sarah that I'm talking to today. You know, your hair is beautiful, by the way, absolutely beautiful. But I'm growing mine too. So anyway, it's a conversation. It's about having fun. We're going to have fun with these things. But, you know, looking at you, you're beautiful, you're smart. I see all your accomplishments, which we'll talk about in your introduction. But I like this one, first of all, social impact leader. I like that a lot. I like that title for you, by the way. That's a great title. But how did you get to be you? I mean, today we're talking about all these amazing things you're doing, but we all have a journey. We have ups and downs to get there. And how did you get to be you?
Well, thank you for having me here. I've been looking forward to this. I've been watching your podcast for a while. So with a little bit of FOMO. So it's so great to be here and be in conversation with you. How did I get here? You know, I think for me, so I grew up in a small town north of Milwaukee, right on Lake Michigan, called Port Washington. And I grew up in a very civic family. You know, both my parents were educators. My father was on the school board, a city councilor, head of the teachers union. And, you know, both my parents were very active in political campaigns and, you know, other things. And so I just grew up with that. I grew up with, you know, I think so much of like civic muscle starts when you're so young. And for me, it was definitely at home. It was around the dinner table. It was going with my parents to volunteer. And, you know, I have 2 older sisters. We've all taken different paths, but we're all pretty civically minded. And I knew that, you know, education for me wasn't my path. But I knew that I wanted to work in the nonprofit sector. I wanted a mission-based life. I think another piece, we talk about, girls and leadership, and, I was an athlete. I played soccer for 11 years. I played volleyball. I played basketball. And, I think as I think about what has equipped me in this journey of leadership and doing this work, I can go back to those early days in terms of being on the field, working with collaboratively in teams, stepping out and being vulnerable, which you so often have to do in sports. And then I went to school and I just kind of dabbled in everything. And I had some really great mentors, and, I just was really lucky in that way.
Yeah. So you have that in your DNA, so to speak. I also came from a very civic, well, more or less the caring, giving, responsibility family that take care of those who need taking care of and so forth. But I mean, it does have a lot to do. Plus, being a tomboy back then, I'm older than you, so sports was my outlet, and for women at that time in history, it was extremely important, and it was a team building process, and of course, learning confidence, learning to be out there amongst people, and to have to work hard, work hard to be who you are, and that's who Sarah is, and that's the wonderful thing. But what were some of your challenges? Because I know I sure had challenges, because being a girl and again, girls were supposed to be a certain way, and still in some ways now are being told pretty is nice, and don't ruffle any feathers, be. If you want people to you want everyone to like you and to appreciate you. And so what were some of your challenges?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Well, I was very shy as a young girl. So that was definitely one challenge to overcome. I was recently reading the book that is about to come out in the fall, with authored by Dr. Monique Colson, who is the CEO and founder of Grantmakers for Girls of Color. And in the book, she talks about this journey of knowing, and the power of helping young girls know themselves, know their mind, know when to speak up, and to feel really confident in that. And I think I think that's hard. I think, the journey of doing that, finding the right way to exercise your voice if you disagree with your teacher, or things like that. So I do think that that was a journey for me, and to really feel confident, and overcome that shyness and feel confident in my voice. And I think that there's so many environments where women are really encouraged to listen. And I think we all have faced those environments, no matter what era it is. And for me, that was definitely one of them. I also, in my career, I think for me, I started doing women's rights work in 2014. And before that, I was doing human rights work and democracy work, and sort of working along those intersections. And, I was craving for myself, not being a generalist, but finding that thing that I could really sink my teeth into, the thing that I just care deeply and that would get me out of bed every morning, above and beyond just making the world a better place. And it took me a while to find it. It really took me a while to find it. It wasn't like a aha, that, it really was a matter of time. And my mom was such a feminist. So, and part of that, I just thought I wouldn't work in women's rights because of that. I just grew up with it. I just thought, oh, I'll step past that and I'll do this other work. And then I did feel really called to it through my journey of getting here today and doing the work that I do at Women Moving Millions.
Yeah. Well, no doubt about it. First of all, I call them social profit organizations. I don't like the term nonprofit. 501c3 social profit organizations, yes. And again, coming from a very philanthropic family myself, And of course, you being a social impact leader is wonderful. But, you know, again, what we are looking at as far as women's rights, and we look at women and girls and gender equity and equality, but one of the things that we're looking at, especially with organizations like Women Moving Millions, less than 2% of funding or investing goes to girls and women's programs or organizations. So that we also know that women and girls programs are not only struggling, have struggled, but are going to even struggle more now in this current environment that we're living in, which is, again, this U.S. aid to many organizations. You know, I had a call with the Giving List group. There were over 100 people on the call. And many of them were just saying, we're struggling. We're not sure if we're going to keep our doors open because of because of the current environment and the loss of funding. So, you know, Women Moving Millions is going to be even more important. And let's just talk about that. What is Women Moving Millions? You know, I joined, gosh, I don't even know the year that I joined. Maybe you maybe you remember, but as a member, you know, again, these are very, very influential women, change makers, women that really care about the greater world besides themselves, but the greater world. But describe to me and us about what Women Moving Millions is in your words.
Sure. So, and we're so grateful to have you amongst our membership. Women Moving Millions is a global philanthropic community committed to advancing gender equality through bold investment, collective leadership, and systems level change. So we seek to advance our mission to better capitalize the movement for gender equality by cultivating, an engaged and informed and active membership community that's leading with purpose and power, that is informed by feminist values. And we believe deeply. So we have a community of over 400 members, mostly domestic to North America. And we just truly believe in the power of what's possible when you bring women together with a shared purpose and shared commitment. And I think that's our secret ingredient, is the peer network, the community who's coming together to make bold investments to improve the lives of women and girls. And it's really through the power of that community that we're able to collectively work to build a world, not as how it could be in 5 years and 10 years, but this ultimate vision of a gender equal world, and that we all can help to create that world. So it's a collective movement. It's rooted in women's leadership. It's rooted in feminist philanthropy. And we believe really deeply in our role, which is to strengthen the funding ecosystem of the movement for gender equality, but then also to really be in deep relationship with all of the different intersecting movements that are working to improve the lives of women and girls globally.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of women don't have a very good relationship with money. First of all, they hand over the power and the control of money to oftentimes the male counterpart. And of course, we see even in our country still, there's the old white men are still in control of much of the money, and women are allowing this to occur, so that that value system and that change as far as tradition needs to change very much in our own country. And where do you think we're at this point? Because again, right now, women are losing ground day after day with some of the laws that are being changed. Of course, the sport that's being taken away, and our body rights, and we can go on and on. But where do you think we are at this point?
I think it's I have both a comment for concern and a reason for hope, I think, around this. So what you said before is absolutely right. We know that 40% of countries, which is home to 1.1 billion women and girls, are backsliding on gender equality, backsliding on democracy alongside that. and they're not meeting their gender equality indicators, which, related to women's safety, women and girls' safety, to their health, to the reproductive freedom and access that they deserve, and the economic opportunity for them to live lives where they can truly thrive and have the agency that we're fighting for them to have. And so this is a perilous moment, because we know that with the USAID cuts, that a majority of women's organizations that are focused specifically on crisis response are predicting they may not even survive the year.
Yeah.
So when we look at the global context, it is a moment of great concern. It's beyond an inflection point. And as we look within our own borders, we are losing so much traction. We're not just losing traction in terms of reproductive freedom, we're losing traction in terms of gender norms and culture. And those are the really sticky things that are hard to undo. It's in some ways easier to undo a law than it is to undo a culture that lacks the empathy and the understanding about women's valuable role in society. And I think that, for me, is the greatest concern as I read the paper and I see the news and see legislation, all these other things moving forward, or podcasts that are perpetuating, a very masculine, dominant, patriarchal society. And so I think that, we have all of these compounding factors happening at the same time, which makes our work really important. It makes the organizations like Women Moving Millions really important, because in order to counter that, we can't tackle this work alone. We can't work in silos. Like, we all actually need to be coming together in the way that women are so great and historically have done, in order to basically push back against the backslide. Now, the piece that I think that gives me hope, of course, and you talked about women's relationship with wealth, is that we do have a $72 trillion opportunity to do and to think differently. And at Women Moving Millions, we're there. We're in absolute readiness mode, thinking about how do we, as an organization, adapt and evolve to meet not just the demands of the moment, but this wealth transfer that's going to be happening for women, and intergenerational wealth transfer. And that presents an opportunity not just for the social sector, but as we think about investing in research for women, which we know there's just a paucity of research. When we think about investing in women-led businesses, we have all this consumer power. Let's use it for good. Let's start investing in women who are starting these businesses so that we are better served and are stronger and have a seat at the tables that we should be having. So that gives me hope that if we just keep setting our sights on what's possible and come together and find ways to work together creatively, it is a creative moment. And I just believe fundamentally, I can't do this work without believing in possibility. Like, I just cannot do it.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I can't agree with you more. And of course, this is, Women Connect for Good. That's what we've been doing since the inception in 2012, was to start to create a community of like-minded women and men who understand that we're not going to get there alone. It's going to take us all to make this a better world. And right now, it's more important than ever. And the biggest thing that we're working on this year, and I'm not sure I think we've talked a little bit about this, is the youth. Young women and young girls and women. Again, you're talking about culture, you're talking about education, you're talking about awareness. Is that this is our hope. Passing the baton to the next generation who's going to stand up for rights for everyone, pay equity, body rights, you go on and on with it, safety and security, but yet education. We have to start looking to the youth as well to say, what are you learning? But right now, if they listen to what they're listening to and learning from right now, I would be terrified. So we as organizations, Women Moving Millions and Women Connect for Good, it's so important for us to get the right messages out there, a common message, a common bond that said, hey, we're here for you. We're here to make sure that you live in a world that all the possibilities are yours and that you have the choice as to how you live, where you live, how do you care for yourself, how you care for your community. I mean, the time is extremely, extremely important right now. I keep saying the time is now, and this organization, of course, with the money piece is so very, very important because, again, we know money is a vehicle. It gives you an opportunity to open doors and to create those possibilities that are so extremely important right now. Okay, so some of the issues facing women and girls today, we've talked a little bit about them, but let's talk about them again because that's what we're challenged with, and this is our challenge and our opportunity to do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's where to begin. In addition to, I think the fragility of the movement right now. I mean, you have climate change that's significantly impacting the livelihood of women and girls. I mean, you have more women who are in a migratory forced situation and dislocation situation as refugees than ever before in history. Not even World War I, not World War II. This is a historic moment. And of course, we know when people are forced from their home that they're at greater risk for violence. They're not getting access to education. They're often become girl brides. And so this is, I think, for girls right now, I love the focus on girls. Right now, we're at risk of losing a generation who aren't going to have the structures in place to support them. Of course, the pullout of USAID has impacted the most vulnerable women and girls around the world. Access to family planning, access to proper medical care. These are the things that we're losing in this moment. And in this country, we're seeing it play out, and we shouldn't. We're so resourced as a country. We should not have a situation in which our maternal mortality rates are as high as underdeveloped countries.
Yeah.
And so I think you can look at sort of every sort of phase of women and girls' lives, and we're just putting up more barriers for them to be able to dream, to achieve what they want, and to live healthy lives.
Yeah. Well, as you know, the main mission of Women Connect for Good is very simple. It's support. When we support someone else and we lift them up, anything is possible. And so I think Women Moving Millions has a very, very good purpose, and even more important with the money vehicle, that's the key to opening doors and creating opportunities. But so, one of the things that we've talked about also is that what are people doing as Women Moving Millions? Are they giving differently? Or are they giving more? Or are they, how is the organization changed in the last few years, especially with the climate the way it is right now? Has it changed, and how?
I mean, in some ways, we're just as steadfast, if not more, as we have always been. Our vision and our belief in this future, this gender equal future, where not just women and girls, but everybody can thrive and live their best lives, that hasn't changed. We're still holding hard to that. But you have to be responsive to the times. And, I think at Women Moving Millions, we're showing up with a level of urgency that the moment requires, with ambition. So in the fall, we'll be launching new billion-dollar resourcing campaign for women and girls, which would be the second $1 billion that we mobilized in our history. And our goal is to do it faster. So it took us 17 years to do the first time. This time we want to get it done by 2030, because it is our responsibility to use the influence, the resources, the networks that we have to do everything that we can to stop this backslide. So our commitment, our deep commitment to equity is the same, showing up as an ally to groups that are under threat. So in June, we made a $10 million organizational commitment to mobilize from members, new members joining the organization, $10 million for the Global Philanthropy Project, specifically for LGBTQ rights globally. 90% of LGBTQ funding globally has disappeared with administration action. And so we believe it's really important, as we're doing this work, that we also show up with other communities that are under threat and to not retreat. And so we've been very clear about that. In terms of members, I see members showing up in the same way, with clarity of purpose, with courage, remaining very laser focused on supporting your grantees, reaching out, finding what they need. So we did a survey of responsiveness amongst members that was covered in the Chronicle Philanthropy, and the majority of members have increased their giving. And the majority said that they are plan to continue to increase their giving and are looking for new areas to fund. So what that says to me is that our community understands what's at stake. And they are working alongside and listening to the leaders on the front lines doing this work to understand what's needed and when. And of course, there's going to be a lot of new collaborations and partnerships that are going to come forth out of the destruction, right? And I think that people are also sort of watching for, like, what are those big bets and where can capital really step in?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be more important that organizations do learn to collaborate. The resources are becoming more limited and less because of many, many reasons, but coming together and joining forces. Women Connect for Good, that's what we do. I'm going to say this, I've said this before, but there is a movie, Wisdom and Happiness, and it's the Dalai Lama speaking for 2 hours, and what he says during his whole conversation, as women of the Western world will change the world for good and need to be in leadership positions. And you know what? I absolutely agree with that. Our leadership is going to be so much more important, and bringing up through the ranks the youth and those that continue to give and to continue to find others to collaborate, to partner, is going to be the key. But Sarah, this is a crucial time. It really is. And Women Moving Millions, I mean, is a stellar organization that I wish more and more organizations understood the importance of money and what it can do, and for women to understand the power that they've always had, will have, and to use it appropriately to make the world a better place. So, again, we could talk about this for hours. But, you've got some things coming up, and like I said, tell people about them. Again, membership is key. Continuing to grow your members and to continue to have your members to give. And that's what Women Connect for Good can continue to do for Women Moving Millions, is to continue to promote what you're doing. Because when you're doing taking care of that 2% or 2% of funding in organizations for investing in women and girl programs, it's key right now, more important than ever. And like I said, our big goal is developing this youth component and passing that baton. So any last words and anything that you want people to know about Women Moving Millions? I know it's a wonderful organization. I congratulate you on everything that you've done and will do. So any last good words of wisdom and what we want to know about, what you want to
I'll just say, this is a historic moment, and I do think that, I mean, we believe so fundamentally in our organizational DNA, in the unstoppable force and power of women's leadership. We just believe fundamentally it's just a core part of who we are, and that investing in women's leadership is just the most powerful tool at our disposal. So as people are thinking about how they move money in this moment, where they can have the most impact, gender equality and investing in women and girls is not just a moral imperative. It's cost effective. It's strategic. It's exponential in terms of where those resources. We don't need any more research. All the research is out there that this is the most effective social change strategy. We believe that. I spend a lot of time advocating for other people to think about putting a gender lens in their giving. So I encourage people who are listening to this podcast who are giving at any scale, like, your money matters to this movement. It matters now. And then I would just lastly just say that, this can be a lonely journey in terms of your giving. And there's so much joy in tackling some of these really meaty, hard, challenging issues and sectors and rights together in community. Yeah. So I also have to say, like, join us, join this community, and find your tribe, your people who you can be on this journey with, because you need people to learn from, people who are going to challenge you, people who you can help teach them and model for them the work that you're doing. And I think the richness of that dynamism that we have in this community, where women are investing in really diverse ways that intersect with gender, is where a lot of that power is. So I would just encourage people that, are out there and don't have a network like this, reach out, give us a call. We're trying to grow our community because we just know how impactful it is, both for the individual and the work that we're trying to seed into the world.
Well, it's we're not, our work is not done. We know that there's more that we need to do. So often people will say, "Well, I just don't know what I can do," and I can't give that much. But if everyone gave a little or did a little, just think what the world would be like. It'd be so different and so amazing. And this is what we've got to encourage people to do. It just a little, give a little, do a little. I like Michelle Obama, do something. I think that's what we want people to do, something. Don't sit there and let the chaos and fear take over. Know that there are many of us out there. Women Connect for Good, Women Moving Millions, yes. Many of the organizations that we all collaborate with that want to make a difference and are making a difference. So Women Moving Millions, you bring hope. Women Connect for Good bring hope. And hope is so important right now. And I congratulate the organization and what you're doing, and we'll continue to do what we're doing. We're not done. We're going to keep going, and you can't stop us. You can't stop. We're stoppable.
It's July, but my feet are not up. The work has to continue. And the good news is, I think one of the things that fuels my hope is and I'm sure you see this all the time in the extraordinary women leaders you're working with and supporting, that the world is rich with the type of leadership we're not reading about in the paper today.
But Sarah, what we have to do is continue to let them know that we're out there. There are great things going on in our country. Instead of listening to all the things that are wrong, we need to start talking about all the things that are right. Women Moving Millions is right. Women Connect for Good is right. There are great people in our country. There are great Americans they're doing a great job, and we need to keep telling those stories. Like the National Women's History Museum, which I'm on the board of. We tell the story of amazing women who have done amazing things in our history and will continue to do so. So, we're not done. So but we need to take care of ourselves, take good care of Sarah, take good care of Nancy, because, we've got more work to do. But thank you so much for what you're doing. And I know this is just one time that we're speaking. We'll be speaking many times in other great conversations. So thanks for being with me today.
Thank you. This was such a treat. I really appreciate it. And thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. And the things that we'll continue to do. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Things we'll continue to do. Okay.
Have a good
Bye.
one.
Thank you.
If you enjoy these smart, amazing conversations, please subscribe, rate, and review them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And read and enjoy more amazing stories in my books, In This Together, How Successful Women Support Each Other in Work and Life, and Leading Women, 20 Influential Women Share Their Secrets to Leadership, Business, and Life. Thank you for listening.